In today's teaching, I'm talking about what faith looks like, so stay tuned for the teaching. I'm on the subject of what faith looks like. In other words, I'm talking about a visual where you can get a kind of a picture to the point that it's just an image where it's like it can be so real in a reality to your heart that you understand this area of trusting God, having confidence in Him. In other words, your faith in Him, in Jesus, and what He's already accomplished for you, instead of making faith about you in the context of you trying to make God do something for you. But you see in Mark's Gospel, chapter 10 and verse 46, it says, "Now they came to Jericho, and He went out of Jericho with His disciples, and a great multitude, blind Bartemaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.' Then many warned him to be quiet. But he cried out all the more, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.' So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, 'Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you.'" And verse 50 of Mark chapter 10 says, "And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus said to him, 'What do you want me to do for you?' The blind man said to him, 'Rabboni, that I may receive my sight.' Then Jesus said to him, 'Go your way, your faith has made you well.' And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way." Now, there is just simply a picture you can see in this situation. Blind Bartimaeus, in other words, sitting by the side of the road, there was just a crowd of the people, all of them together, and suddenly it's like he knew something was going on, but he couldn't see it, but he heard it. And when he gained the understanding of who the person was that was passing by, obviously he had already heard about Jesus. The word had gotten around all. That's why there's a crowd of people. It's like, this is Jesus, this is Jesus. And immediately there was a response from his heart. He wanted his attention. Jesus, the son of David. He kept hollering, "Jesus, son of," loudly, to the point that it irritated the people. And they told him, look, they warned him to be quiet. In other words, there was an attitude coming from these people. And you got to realize something here. These are the people that supply his living. He's blind. He's begging on the side of the road. And so if someone that is, well, the ones you trust in your substance coming forth for your life, your financial substance, if they're the ones that are getting upset at you, a lot of people will be intimidated by that. But look at this man. Look at the condition of his heart. You see, the hidden man of the heart is the real person, who you are on the inside. Under the pressure of the circumstances of life, who are you? How are you going to respond? Because it's Jesus. How do you, is there this type of determined response that's coming out of your heart towards Jesus? Let me say it a different way. Matthew 11:12 says, "And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force." In other words, we're talking about a violent resolve to receive God's best, a violence that comes from the inside, a determination that is like, no, this is Jesus. And it's just like you're not passive. You're not sitting back and waiting for God to do something for you. No, you've got something on the inside of you that's reaching out and taking a hold of the promise, and you're refusing to let go, almost like a bulldog taking a hold of a rag as you're playing with a dog, just refuses to let go. That determination, what's on the inside, under the circumstances of life and the pressures of life. Do you believe the problem, or are your beliefs established in Jesus to the point that you're determined, and it's like you're not letting anything else influence your heart to the point that you're looking at Jesus, who is the author and finisher of your faith. You're looking to Him. You're not looking at yourself in relationship to life and making your problems about you. Instead, it's about Jesus. Because you see, this man cried out the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Nothing. He was determined. There's a determination in the heart of this individual, a determination to connect to Jesus. And Scripture says Jesus stood still in verse 49. In other words, commanded In other words, he's telling the people because he can see what's happening with the people. It's like he's commanding this man to be brought to him. It's at that point, it's like it's Jesus speaking, and the people humble themselves and say, be of good cheer, he's calling you. But the man in verse 50, you see something very important here. It says, throwing aside his garment. You know, one of the things you got to realize concerning a garment, especially in this culture, you know, it's almost like the image of the person that's a beggar. He was letting go of the old because you see, he's taken on the identity of the new. He's looking at Jesus. And Jesus, the wisdom he used, he said, what do you want me to do for you? I mean, think about that for a second. A blind person talking to you, and you're asking him, what do they want you to do for them? I tell you, that's wisdom, because there's a lot of people that just look at a person and they speculate on what they want based upon what they're seeing, not Jesus. Jesus said, what do you want me to do for you? He wants to find out what's in the heart of the person. I tell you, that's wisdom. And this man said, Rabboni, that I might receive my sight. And Jesus said this, go your way, your faith has made you whole. I tell you, that he was trusting God. In other words, he wasn't trusting in himself. He was trusting in God in this situation to the point that he connected to Jesus, because here is a picture of faith. It's like you're determined. Nothing's going to stop you from connecting to Jesus. There's a determination on the inside to the point that your heart's revealed. You really do trust him. You really are believing. There's a determination to connect to him to the point that Jesus is the answer and nothing is going to get in the way. This is a picture of faith.